I don't know, but I'm not telling anyone. I have no idea if it will work. I'm trusting in all my departments and all the actors and all the writers and camera people and grips and electricians to make it work. Nothing says it's working.
Sam Raimi is perhaps the master of creative camera work. This is a signature of all of Sam Raimi's films. His creativity behind the camera is a massive part of why his movies are so memorable. Not only his creative use of the camera, but his unique sense of humour, his slightly darker sense of humour. After dropping out of high school at age 18,
Robert Tappert, Bruce Campbell, and myself all bought business suits and matching briefcases and dropped out of school. Then we worked as waiters, busboys, janitors, cab drivers.
So how old were you then?
18.
he and his friends Robert Tappert and Bruce Campbell made their first short film, Within the Woods. This was an even lower budget and slightly different version of Evil Dead. Some kids at a lone cabin in the woods with a lot of creepy events happening, and a lot of blood. In 1981, The Evil Dead was released and was a major success, launching Raimi's career. Raimi had brought his creative camera work to Within the Woods. He brought this to The Evil Dead as well, except this time it was more polished and fresher thanks to the slightly higher budget. The infamous POV shot of the demons moving through the woods was done in Within the Woods, and then was brought to Evil Dead. Evil Dead 2 is where the camera work really took off. There is another POV shot of a demon which chases Bruce Campbell's character Ash into the cabin. The shot just keeps going and going with no cuts. The camera follows Campbell around. This was also part of Raimi's humour. We think, how much longer can the shot keep going? And we watch as Ash keeps scrambling for places to go to get away from this demon in this tiny little cabin. Other parts of Raimi's humour were things like the stuffed head on the wall coming to life, Ash having to cut off his hand because it gets possessed, and then he attaches a chainsaw to his arm.
Groovy.
And of course, the headless body running around with a chainsaw. All of this is so bizarre and dark that you can't help but find it funny. Years after the Evil Dead trilogy, Sam Raimi directed 3 Spider-Man movies starring Tobey Maguire from 2002 to 2007. All of them were great. Well, the third one not so much, but the first 2 especially were major successes, with Spider-Man 2 being one of the best Spider-Man movies to date, if not the best. The camera work he used in Evil Dead was brought to his Spider-Man movies. The parade fight scene in Spider-Man 1, the train scene in Spider-Man 2, and the truck chase scene in Spider-Man 3 all used this camera work to their advantage. The scenes of Spidey swinging were achieved using the Spider-Cam. This was a camera built specifically for these movies. The crew would attach wires all through the buildings of New York, then they would start filming and feed the camera along the wires slowly. Then in editing, they sped up the footage and put Spider-Man in there. The reason the swinging scenes look so real and feel so grand is because the camera is actually up there. And again, Raimi leaves the camera rolling so that we are spending time with Spider-Man. He doesn't do multiple angles and cuts of Spider-Man swinging. He simply just lets the camera roll and allows us to enjoy these epic moments. Sam Raimi became obsessed with filmmaking as a kid when his father brought home a movie camera one day. He has loved movies and wanted to direct ever since he was a child, and you can tell. In all of his movies, you can just feel the passion and care for what he is doing. Sam Raimi was a kid who dreamed of being a director, and eventually he achieved this.